Hey, what's up, Facebook folks? It's your old pal Schmucker here live in Wabash at Modocs with my friend Cara D.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Great to be here.
See, it wants to tag you.
Okay.
So we better tag you.
Let's tag us.
We're trying out these new microphones that we got. Can you hear us? I need some feedback.
Yeah, fingers crossed the mics are working.
Somebody comment here, or as we're going, to let us know. Make sure you can hear us loud and clear.
Right.
And we'll adjust and see where we can go from there. But
gotta love technology, right?
I do love technology. These fancy schmancy $15 Amazon purchases. Chris says sounds great.
Okay, that's what we like to hear.
I do love to hear that. But today's videos are being made possible by the shop, 411 Argonne Road. You can find them on Facebook and book on Facebook as well on their Facebook page, or you can go to theshopwarsaw.genbook.com. The shop, where quality and convenience meet. You can also find them in the description here on this video, as well as a link to Cara D's profile.
Awesome.
So Cara, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, well, I have been in radio. I guess we'll kind of start there, because I just turned 40 not too long ago. So, there's 40 years worth of childhood that, I got to explain. So I think we'll just start here in the last few years as far as radio broadcasting. I've been doing that for about 6 years now. And I have two fabulous boys, Caleb and Carson. They're older. Caleb's 23 and Carson is 16. And so they both, they keep mom busy. But yeah, I live in Denver, Indiana, and
thriving metropolis.
Yes, definitely. Yes, so I live in Denver. A single mom, and I'm engaged, so I'm going to be getting married here soon. Yes, this summer. So a lot of exciting things going on in my life, really.
I got married twice last year.
Oh, nice. Okay.
To the same person.
All right.
Believe that one or not. Now that came about. The first one we kind of did I hurt my back. And we didn't realize that work was going to do a workers' comp claim, so we got married so I could get on my wife's insurance. And then they decided to file a workers' comp claim, so we'd already gotten married, and then we were going ahead with our original wedding in September. So I got married twice.
Well, how cool is that? Not everybody can say that they've done that.
No,
yeah, in 1 year, that's fun.
But people always ask, they're like, well, what anniversary are you going to use, the March one or the September? And I'm like, how about both?
Yeah, right? I know.
So
you have to have it, celebrate it twice. I like it. Might as well.
So you kind of hinted at it, but how did you get into radio?
Mm-hmm. Well, interesting, very interesting story. I really became a part of Wabash, actually. During that time, I was, like I said, I was a single mom, and I was raising two boys, and I started working over here at the Honeywell Center, actually right across the street here from Modocs, and through that and through networking and just getting to know people, it was amazing, the people that you meet along the way, and how your paths cross, and that's just really kind of how it was. I started going to school for professional communications, get my degree in that. I had just begun that, so I was going to school, I was working like 3 jobs and taking care of everything, and came across, meeting Wade through a friend of his that I worked with, and so on and so forth, and just through the community, and it was through that. It was through those connections that I had made in the area and through my previous jobs that, then we got to talking about it and gave it a try, and so it's been an experience. I've loved every step of the way. It kind of has been a love-hate relationship with radio. But
I know all about it.
I know you do. So, but it's just been an incredible journey. Been great.
I mean, I tell you, my radio broadcasting career got started when I was like 20.
Okay.
And I was sacking groceries at a local grocery store, working at a local factory in Warsaw, and everybody knew I loved music, and they're like, hey, you should go talk to the manager at the local radio station and see if they have anything you can do. And I'm like, hey, yeah, maybe I should. So I kind of wandered in, and it turned out that somebody that was doing the Sunday morning shift was getting married. Back to the getting married thing.
There you go.
And they needed somebody to change church cassettes. To tell you how long ago that's been.
There you go, the cassettes.
So
oh yeah.
I changed church cassettes on the FM, and then literally ran from the FM to the back of the building where I changed the cassette on
Those
the
are the
AM.
good old days.
And of course you had to listen to see when the tape was going to end, because you had to go flip the tape.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, quick, flip it over and keep going so there wasn't too much dead air. And it was an interesting experience,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And radio is kind of like an infectious disease.
Uh-huh.
It's like once you get into it,
That's a great
you
way.
can't
to
get
put it.
away from it. Even if you're out of it,
Yeah.
it's still in your blood.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's great. I love it, and I miss
very
it.
true.
I kind of do these videos that kind of helps me get back into it.
Sure. Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
So, have you ever faced any struggles in your life?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're talking about like just today or
Whatever you want to throw out
Because
there.
I'm like, I'm like every day you struggle with something.
Oh,
As a matter of
course.
fact, like I woke up this morning and it was raining and stormy and there was thunder rolling. I'm like, ugh, do I really have to get out of bed today? I mean, that was a struggle in itself. So,
Yeah.
but I did. I got up. I put both feet on the floor and I said, you know what? It's a new day. I have things to accomplish today. And even though I burned the food this morning, I was like, dang it. I mean, this is just all this morning, like within the first half hour of me, waking up and starting my day. So, whether it's something large, catastrophic, as far as, I've been through divorce. I just lost my mom a month ago. I just, those big struggles that you face, or if it's just daily struggles. I mean, we think we go through, that every day. I think there's always something that we go through.
Yeah.
And probably the biggest thing is just, I just keep that positive outlook. I always remember that, I can, nothing has gotten so bad to where I couldn't handle it. And so that's usually my big pep talk in the morning, when I do just want to stay in bed, or I just really don't feel like being an adult that day or whatever it might be.
Well, and you talk about, overcoming, and we'll get to that here in just a second, but one of my favorite quotes is, so far in your life up to this point, you're 100% at beating anything that's been tossed your way.
Right.
So, that's a great thing to think about.
Yeah.
And I know I just lost my mom right between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Okay, so similar
So
situation.
we know, so
Yeah.
we're both getting ready to go through our first Easter without mom, which, you think being almost 40 years old, which I'm right there knocking on the door with you, that it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but as we're starting to prepare as a family for Easter dinner and like going to church on Sunday morning and just those little things you don't think about, it's like it just kind of hits you sometimes and all that emotion gets you, and it's like, man, I kind of miss my mom.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm almost 40 years old. I still miss mom.
Sure.
But I
It
think
is.
that's okay, and I think there's so many people out there that can probably relate. So, how do you overcome those kinds of things in your life? Like, how do you personally get past something like that?
Sure. Well, again, like, I had mentioned, I remind myself, of course, my faith obviously just gets me through daily. And I have to remind myself that, that, like you just said, that God can get me through anything. He has never put anything in my path that I could not, get by, that I couldn't get over, that I couldn't move forward. And so I have to remind myself, whether it's, a lot of times it's financial struggle. And I get really stressed out, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to, pay the bills this month or whatnot? And I'm like, you know what? I have never been without a roof over my head, or a vehicle to get me to work, or food in my refrigerator. Like, I always have to remind myself that he's never failed me, and he never will. He's always been there, and so that really, really on a daily level really gets me through.
Yeah, I tell you, Joyce Meyer's got a quote, one of my favorites, that says, worry is putting a down payment on a problem that you will never have.
Yes.
So, and
Yes.
I know my wife and I, she
Yeah.
can definitely relate as being a single mother, because, she went through, her daughter's now 12, almost 13, but a lot of the early years with her daughter, she was a single mom, so I've kind of understand that fully. And I was a single dad for the longest time with my daughter, so we understand that. And
Yeah, it's great.
I can't tell you how many times I've had nothing but ramen noodles,
Right.
or bologna sandwiches.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh man! But somebody else wants tagged here. Katie Deer wants tagged, so we'll tag Katie. She's
Awesome.
a high school friend of mine.
All right. Cool.
Getting ready to plan my 20-year high school reunion.
No.
It's like,
Fun.
oh, jeez.
Yeah.
So, What's one thing that you would want people to remember you for?
Josh. Let's see. That's a tough one. Probably, I guess more than anything, like what stood out to me when at my mom's service is how because you always kind of wonder, oh my gosh, what are people going to say about you once you're gone?
Yeah.
Once you've left this earth, what are they going to remember you by? And I remember that everybody was just, oh, she's just so positive, and she was just happy, and she loved life, and she loved her family, and I thought, wow, that's huge. I think that's huge. That I really hope that people just remember me as being that positive energy, that that strength and that love of life, and so I really hope that that I convey that to other people when I see them, just putting a smile on their face, or just letting people know it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I know at my mom's service they had a song by the Oak Ridge Boys called "Did I Make a Difference?"
Okay.
And it basically goes through and talks kind of about exactly that, like, did I make a difference in somebody's life? I mean, did I make a difference with what I did with my life? I mean, so often we get so caught up with the house and the car, and did I have the right job? Am I hanging out with the right people? I mean, am I doing this? Am I doing that? When you think about that, at the end of your life, nobody walks past your casket and is like, oh, you remember so-and-so and their big fancy house and their big fancy car, and that stuff doesn't get talked about. It's
right.
like, who is that person at their core? I mean, what is their character? I mean, what are you made of? I mean, I always think of, I'm getting ready to give a big speech to the 6th graders that graduated there for all the Warsaw Community Schools in front of like 4,000 people. And I'm thinking, like, what in the world am I going to talk to these kids about that is relatable? But I think that integrity and character, and it's not so much what you do, it's who you are while you're doing what you do.
Right.
So I think that's the stuff that gets remembered, and
Sure.
We got to go to it here.
Okay.
Question number 7.
Okay.
Who is your favorite band, and what's your favorite song?
Oh boy, now this is probably the hardest question of all the questions. The other ones came pretty easy. So, of course, being a big, classic rock fan, and here in the last year or so, I've really been learning more about these bands. I listened to them growing up, in the 80s. I mean, I was an 80s girl and all that, in classic rock. But I tell you what, if I had to put on like one band and listen to them all day long, it would be Led Zeppelin. I could just listen to them nonstop for hours and hours upon end. So Led Zeppelin's probably at the top of my list, I would say.
Favorite Zeppelin song? Couple, 2, 3?
Well, the Led Zeppelin 2 album, like from beginning to end, starts out with A Whole Lot of Love, and you got, Heartbreaker and Lemon Song and Ramble On. I mean, that's a good album.
There's so much. The thing that I like about Zeppelin is just so much variety. I mean, you got blues, you got something like Braun Your Stomp that's like kind of a hillbilly foot stomping, just good time jam.
Right.
And then you get real heavy into like Immigrant Song. And of course, I mean, I've heard Stairway to Heaven 10,000 too many times.
Right.
But I mean, it's always been, I've always kind of been one of my, they're probably up there on my list. Not somebody that I would go too long without listening to. And I don't know if I could pick one Zeppelin song that would be my favorite.
I don't think so either. There isn't really, like you said, I could maybe pick a whole album, but to pick a song, to narrow it down.
And the funny thing about that question is I throw the kind of silly ones in there, like, and I actually skipped a question now that I look at it. We're going to get back to it.
Okay.
But I throw the silly ones in there to kind of break up the serious and the monotony, but the silly ones are like the hardest questions for people to answer.
I know.
And I'm like the one that I missed was, what's your favorite classic cartoon?
Oh my gosh, yeah, okay. Well, of course, I grew up on, the Looney Tunes and the Warner Brothers characters and that. So, but the first one that popped in my head when I thought about it was Yosemite Sam. I love Yosemite Sam. And Pepe Le Pew. I love Pepe Le Pew. I loved how, he was always trying to romance and, So that was another great one. But all those classic ones, Coyote and the Roadrunner, those are fun.
I'm kind of a classic cartoon guy. I'm kind of a classic guy, period.
Yeah.
Hence the,
Right.
where's the
yeah.
beef? I put Clara, because that was the closest thing I could get to Cara. I would always try to pick a shirt that's going to match whoever I'm talking to that
Right.
day.
Nice.
That was the closest I could come.
Okay,
so
I'll take it.
Not
I'll
that
take
you're
it.
old and are advertising frozen beef, but anyways.
It goes with it.
So have you ever worked anywhere besides radio?
Mm-hmm.
Like what else have you done?
Sure. Well, of course, like I mentioned, the Honeywell Center. Worked there, and technically I'm actually still employed there. I obviously don't get time there as much as I do, as much as I used to. But yeah, I worked there for several years and loved it. Still love it. You know, still keeping in communication with the staff there at the Honeywell Center here in Wabash. Do you want me to go like all the way back? I don't know. I've had some just other small random jobs. You know, like I said, just part-time jobs. Quite a few of those on top of like my full-time job. So.
You go as far back as you want.
Okay, so like my first job was Mr. Weenie in Peru. So I worked at Mr. Weenie as a car hop. That was my first job.
I could probably take that so many places right now, but I think for sake of keeping this on a PG level.
Yes. So anyway, but yeah. So there, my dad Kerry, he owned a office furniture business and home and office furniture business. So I worked for him for years and years, just off and on helping him out. American Stationery. Oh my gosh. I worked at Harry's, Old Kettle, Pub and Grill here in Wabash. I've done, let's see, Brant's. I help Brant's out with special events that they have going on. Brant's Harley Davidson here in Wabash. And it's just all through those community connections. It's really, really incredible. And I'm one of those people that I want to do everything. Like I want to experience as much as I can, and I no matter what it is, I really just love to experience and say that I did this and I tried it, and if I didn't like it, okay, at least I tried. And I don't think anybody fails if they at least try it. So
it's amazing when you start thinking about it and how those like connections come about, and how much community plays a huge part. And I mean, it surprises me that more businesses don't just have somebody dedicated to going out in the community and just talking to people, like walking around Walmart and, hey, have you been to our business? We're doing all this kind of great stuff, and or hey, you want to go play golf today on such and such business, or hey, do you want to do this?
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think just like a community coordinator, maybe we call it.
I know, yeah.
But it surprised me more businesses don't do that.
It's true, and actually that's part of radio. And people, we'll get to that because I know you have a question about that here in a little bit. But yeah, I noticed that in radio, since I've been involved in it, and especially being born and raised in Miami County, and Peru being it's our local radio station, so I get to brag about our community all the time, and I get to speak to these local leaders. On a weekly basis. We're always keeping in contact, and so it's great. Yeah, it's so much fun to go. I just go out and I just get to know our community because I get to talk about them. So it really helps to have those connections. So yeah, I do. I love just going out and just talking to people. It's not just because I'm on the radio. There's so much to it, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
But you think about it, and you sit in this 10 by 12 booth, and you're talking to yourself, but you don't realize that you're not just talking to yourself. There's thousands upon thousands of people that are listening to you at any given time.
Right.
That was the hardest thing for me to get past when I started.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why am I sitting here talking to myself for hours on end? I'm going to wind up in a padded room that's locked, and I'm not going to be able to get out.
Well, kind of technically you are in a studio, you've got
so it's like, I'm going to be in a different kind of
room.
padded room, listening to They're Coming to Take Me Away, ha ha, hee hee, ho ho. But so, who or what inspires and encourages you?
Oh yeah, okay. That one kind of tough. I'm probably, like I said, I go off the cuff because that's how I do radio. A lot of times I'm not too scripted when it comes to radio. But the first ones that come to my mind, of course, are my boys. They're the ones that they give me that drive and that motivation, just to every day try and do the best that I can. Because I know that I'm setting an example for them, and so they definitely encourage me and inspire me and push me without them even knowing it. Like they don't even know, and I think that is probably for a lot of kids and the child and parent relationship. I bet a lot of kids don't realize that if it wasn't for them, there's probably a lot of adults that wouldn't be doing what they're doing, or and sacrificing, and
Kids have such an amazing perspective on things.
They
and
do.
I'm planning on a week here, probably coming up once school gets out, where the interviews are going to be with kids. So I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to them, of course, like, hey, do you like...
They're the most honest. Their answers, they're the best.
It's like, hey, do you like SpongeBob, or do you like The Amazing World of Gumball, or whatever cartoons they watch
Whatever it is nowadays.
Seems like anymore they spend so much time in front of their phone doing this, or playing the Nintendo Switch, or whatever the latest feature is, and I can't keep up with it.
No.
They spend more time watching YouTube videos, I think, than I, and they know so much stuff.
Yeah, they do.
That's what gets me. It's like you're wasting your time sitting in front of the screen, but yet they watch these YouTube videos, and my 6-year-old little boy could come out and tell you more about Mario than I knew growing up. And I'm like, I guess I never knew that.
It's pretty bizarre.
But
yeah.
Any advice that you would offer someone looking to get into broadcasting, or just chasing down a dream for a career?
Right. I always say go for it. That's what my advice with anybody that thinks, that they're thinking about doing something that they maybe kind of have this inkling for, they kind of have a passion for, I always encourage to do a little homework on it to make sure that it is something that you think that you can handle, first of all, and get some background information on it, because honestly, radio isn't what most people think that it is. Like you said, most people, they just hear your voice. They're like, oh, you get to play the music and it's so cool, you get, this and that. And it's like, it is, there's so many avenues to it. And that's why I'm so glad that in my education, when I took professional communications, which was like a huge deal. Like I said, I encourage people to do their homework, know what you're kind of doing before you get into it. But that helped a lot, because it seems like, everything, whether it's communicating and voice work, and there's so much to it. Like, everything that I've learned through my degree, I have used in radio. Like, it has not gone unnoticed. There's so many things to it. But I just, in general, oh my gosh, yes, go for it. Go for it. I think I tell my boys, I was like, as long as you try it, you have not failed. Like, you don't, just try it. And if you realize it wasn't for you, okay, great, move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
You never...
You only fail when you don't try or you quit.
Right.
So, radio isn't as glamorous as what people think it is. And
no,
part of what drove me into such a deep battle with alcohol was the fun and game side of it. I literally thought that I was supposed to be the radio broadcaster that lived like a Motley Crue video. You're partying with the band, you're interviewing with the band, you're hanging out at the local bars, listening to the bands and drinking beer and doing everything else. And then the next thing you know, you got yourself a habit that you can't get rid of.
Yeah.
And it just, it was actually the reason why I'd lost my job in radio. But here, hindsight always being 2020 and almost 3 years of sobriety, it's like you see the bigger picture. It's like, you got this God-given talent, and go for it. So that's kind of also what inspired doing the videos. It kind of came about when my mom passed away. A gal that approached me a little bit before that, who was an artist in Manchester, high school friend of mine, and she was like, hey, let's sit down and do a video. And the day that we were supposed to do it, she had an exhibit at Manchester University. My mom passed away. So I was like, well, let's reschedule. And then she ended up having knee surgery. Well, shortly after that, another lady in a coffee shop I was at approached me about doing a video, also an artist, and I was like, well, let's do a week-long thing of this. And it just kind of...
See how it goes,
See how it goes. And I guess here I am now almost 2 months later, and I got already interviews booked every day until, I think, middle of May.
Yeah, right.
So it's like...
And see, like you said, it's just talking to someone or somebody approaching you, and you definitely. And
there's so much more to people, and like somebody like yourself that they hear from 10 to 2 on WARU 1019 Rocks. Like how I threw that plug in there for you.
Thank you.
But I love hearing people's stories. They might hear a voice, they might see a face walking down the street, they might see somebody in their community, or just somebody that's just a little down, but you get to hear their story, you get to hear the experiences, you get to hear their life's issues, and I mean, sometimes all I need is just somebody to sit down with them and listen to them.
Right.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, the videos, I don't get paid for it. I mean, they're sponsored in the sense that anything I make goes back to A Bridge to Hope, which is a group I do my recovery coaching through to help other people struggling in addiction or whatnot. But I mean, I think it's I think it's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I tell you what, I'm so grateful that you agreed to sit down
I'm
with
so
me.
glad. Yeah, I'm so glad as well. And it is. And I don't get a chance to really talk about that. Like you said, it is. It's really different. And I guess people don't realize, the relationships that you build, or, the callers that I have. I've built relationships with these people that just, call in during my show to request a song.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know some of their life stories, or just daily they call in and they're like, oh, you'll never believe what I did, last night, and just sharing those stories with them. I'm like, wow, that's probably one of my favorite parts of being in radio, is getting to know these people. And it's a strange concept, like you said, when you're in this room all by yourself, but there's thousands of people are listening to you, and they feel like they know you, and you have, and they have a relationship.
Yeah.
So it is. It's really cool. And you like you said, anybody that you come in contact with that's walking down the street or whatever, you don't know what kind of day they've had, or maybe they do just need a smile or just need a word of encouragement, and that's my big thing. I really enjoy that.
And
So.
I tell you, the thing that I miss too, because I did a request show for the longest time, and that's what I miss. I mean, you could change the course of somebody's day just by them calling in and playing one song for them.
Yep.
And it's like, you could tell in their voice when they call whether they're having a good day or a bad day, especially if they call all the time, and it's like, okay, it's like, hey, what can I do for you? I mean, how can I help you?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to probably get too much
This
farther.
could get into, I know, it's
that
like, this
could
would be a
go
whole
for
nother
like a
thing.
whole nother video.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, I don't want to say you're almost like a counselor in a sense, but I mean, you kind of are. You get to help people through the beauty of music. And the artists, when they write the lyrics down, I mean, it's a portion of their soul that they're pouring out about maybe their life's experiences. And I think that's why people relate to it. Because I know, like when I call, I mean, that's kind of how you and I had met. I just called in one day and we just kind of started talking, and here we are sitting talking now. So I mean, it's amazing sometimes those little connections that you make.
It is. They're perfect. That's why, never miss an opportunity to talk to someone, to meet someone. You have no idea what can happen, what can transpire. And obviously you and I both have had that experience, in our lives. You have no idea where you're going to be led, and I think a lot of it has to do with that. So
I tell you what, before I take up too much of your time and too many anybody else's time, we'll let people get back to their evening and watch the Family Feud or Jeopardy. Or
there you go.
There's a guy on Jeopardy, like, I don't know if you've noticed, but this guy last night won like $130,000 in one day.
What?
I guess in the last like 8 or 9 days, he's won almost $700,000.
Really?
Just like ridiculously good.
That is impressive.
But
that is impressive.
I appreciate you sitting down with me today. Again, you can catch Cara D on WARU 1019 Rocks. You can find that on your dial. And again, we need to remind you these videos are being made possible by the shop at 411 Argonne Road in Warsaw. You can find and book on Facebook through their Facebook page if you just click the link that says book it, or you can go to the shop warsaw.genbook.com. The shop where quality and convenience meet. Give Barbara Ethan a call. Tell them Schmucker sent you, and check out Cara D. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll be sitting down with Denny Wilson. He's the pastor of Warsaw Community Church there in Warsaw, and since it's Good Friday, I couldn't think of somebody better than a pastor to probably sit down